everybody. Welcome to this month's episode of Cronin's Corner. I am your host, State Senator John Cronin, and I'm very pleased today to be joined by my good friend and person that's well known to pretty much everybody in the community at this point, I think, but the Public Affairs Manager for the North Central Chamber of Commerce, Travis Condon. Travis, thanks for being with us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Senator. I appreciate it.
What are we going to talk about?
I mean,
there's a lot to cover.
So
right?
normally I'm on the other side as the podcast host for the chamber, so this is entirely different for me being on like the receiving end of the questions.
And I think like my first interview when I was a candidate for office was you were on the radio.
Yeah.
And I was on for an interview. I was very nervous. And I think I reached out to you a couple minutes before, and I was like, what are we going to talk about? And I'll never forget what you said. You said, usually we don't share the questions with. So I was like, all right, like now I'm on my toes. This is good.
So this is your chance now to kind of put me on my toes.
I'm coming back at you. No, but want to talk about the chamber. The more people get to know you, I think they realize you're an international man of mystery, right? We've got an alternate life as a radio host in Virginia, a swing dancer, a murder mystery actor.
Yes.
All right, so we can talk about that. We're going to talk a lot about the region and North Central, but
excellent.
Could you give viewers just kind of a background on your professional life? You grew up in Leominster, you're a Leominster high school grad, and just how you came to this line of work.
Sure. So I grew up in Leominster, love the city. I've got a pink flamingo tattoo. That's how much I love Leominster.
Should I ask where it is? Or
it's
is that,
in my arm, and it has it's got a
That's safe. Yeah, that's it, yeah.
It's high enough that you can't see it when I'm dressed up, and it's got a backwards pot on its head, so it also pays homage to Johnny Appleseed as well. So I got the Featherstone Flamingo and that. But yeah, went to Leominster High School, did theater there, was very active with Ms. Mastriani and Barry Lou in the TV department as well, and really got a love for like performance and that sort of thing. I always knew I wanted to do radio. I was a huge fan of like WXLO and that sort of thing. Interned for Lauren and Wally when I was at Bridgewater State. Moved to Virginia because of my then fiance, now wife's time. Her career was more stable than radio, so I ended up in Farmville, Virginia, which is a real place that exists.
Where is Farmville?
It's about halfway between...
Sounds like the Truman Show.
Or the Facebook game. Yeah. But it's like halfway between Richmond and Lynchburg, and they needed an afternoon radio host for a country station down there. And I walked in, they're like, do you know a thing about country music? And I was like, no, but I'll learn. And so did a 2-year stint down there, and then I moved back to Massachusetts, and they kept me on the air down there doing afternoons and morning news. And then I actually got a job back at WPKZ, formerly WEIM, which is my first professional job outside of college. And I did a run on the morning show for about 6 years there, and then Sherman, I think, was on with me for about 4 years of them.
What's it like reporting on the news in Massachusetts, local news from Virginia?
Did
you feel like discombobulated, or were you like, I've been doing this for 2 years, I know the players,
So in the beginning, it was a little tough, but like down there, they don't have a big like print media presence.
Yep.
They have like one local newspaper, which is great, and it's a couple times a week. So they don't have like all the TV stations.
There's
don't really
no daily.
There's no daily, and the TV stations largely cover like the Richmond area or Charlottesville and the bigger cities. So the great thing is the different departments down there, the different town offices, they'll send me press releases. Their social media is very up to date, so
people were feeding you in real time.
So people feed me in real time, which has made my job immensely easier. But it is a little weird reporting on Virginia news from my basement up in Leominster, Massachusetts.
And it dovetailed well into your role and the radio station here, too.
Oh, absolutely, right? Yeah. So I already had like a news reporting background when I went back to the Fitchburg radio station.
Did you study journalism in college? Or?
I was a communication major, minored in public relations.
Yep.
I pretty much lived in the college radio station, did music format, but always loved like when I got to interview bands.
Yeah.
And
were you DJing? Like what types of programs in college were you doing?
So it was 4 CD players, so it wasn't quite like the ones and twos, but I DJ'd, and you had to go between the different faders and fade the tracks. And I did a 90s show, which was like everything from like Hootie and the Blowfish to like Spice Girls and everything in between. It was pretty much all the music that like I grew up with, that I had a big affection for. I also did a local show, which was all different genres, and then a punk show, which was a lot of fun. So
before we get into the meat of the show, I got to ask, what's up with the swing dancing, and what's up with the murder mystery? Because I did not know you've been involved in these murder mystery shows.
So I used to do theater, starting back at Samoset Middle School.
Gotcha.
Then the teacher was Bob Landry. I directed my first play. I was actually in with Natalie Higgins. We did this.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And what was the show?
The show was The Wizard of Oz, and I was the guard of Oz, and so I had to poke out from the door and say, like, who goes there?
Yeah.
But they cut the door, like, whole for, like, a normal-sized person, and I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet.
Yeah.
So I actually had to stand on someone's, like, shoulders or back to, like, reach.
Get your head up
to
there?
get my head up there. And so Natalie still likes to tell that story.
Yeah.
So I always loved theater. And then when I was in high school, we did Guys and Dolls or 42nd Street. We did both. But one of those, Alan Cormier, who used to do Dance to Swing before the pandemic over at the Elks, came and gave us a lesson, him and his partner at the time, Luann, and so I loved it.
And you got the bug.
Yeah, I got the bug. So when I graduated, my wife Ashley, then we were just dating, we wanted something to do on Sunday nights, so we started going to swing dance every week.
Cool.
The two of us both used to take dance lessons as kids. I did 13 years of tap, so it was fun to start dancing again.
All right, we need to get. I don't know if we have a floor that we can put down for you, but if we run out of questions, you're gonna need
I'll start tap
you're
dancing
gonna need
for
to
you.
figuratively and literally tap dance for us.
That works.
Okay. No, it's good. And so the position, I feel like all of that experience has set you up for success at the position that you're at with the chamber right now. Can you tell us about what the chamber is up to and what your role at the chamber is now?
Sure. Yeah. So all the radio experience I had, I used to interview all the state reps, all the state senators.
Personal relationships with everybody from that experience.
Yeah, mayors,
right?
city councilors. I was fortunate enough to forge a lot of those relationships. I knew most of the people at the chamber as well, Roy and his team at the time. So it really helped when I took over as public affairs manager.
And did you not share the questions with everybody, or was it just me?
So So for me, it was like the stuff that I asked people. It was stuff that they were doing in their daily lives. And
So
I felt
they should know.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah,
if you're doing
right.
your job correctly, you should be able to answer that.
Yeah.
And for me, when I would do candidate interviews like yours,
Right.
I want an authentic answer.
Yeah.
And so if I give you like a whole list of questions beforehand,
You're going to come with your talking points and like
exactly.
Yeah.
But I want to know, like, so the thing is, like, you're local. If you go to the grocery store, someone asks you about an issue, you have to have that answer on the spot. You're
Yep.
going to give them a real answer, and that was what I tried to replicate when I was doing the morning show over at WPKZ.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like all that really helped, just that communication, that relationship building. I had a real pulse on the state budget, the biggest issues, challenges facing the region, and I think that helped make that transition over to the Chamber of Commerce. And so as public affairs manager, I'm really responsible for helping to advance our advocacy efforts, and
Yeah.
I almost act kind of like a public relations person or as like the conduit to let the state reps, state officials, the local officials, federal officials know what the chamber's doing and why we should continue to have support if our members have issues. It can be a little intimidating. I feel like I know you as a friend, but for some people, they don't realize how easy it is to contact their state senators or state
Yep.
reps. And so if we have members that are like, I want to reach out to a state rep, but I don't know how, I'm like, well, let me facilitate that introduction for you.
And to me, the chamber has an indispensable role as a convening authority. There are not enough venues where the business community and people who are in local state government can get in the same room and work together and understand each other's challenges. Can you speak to how the chamber
Sure.
and how you guys aim to make that happen every day?
Yeah, sure. So it's all about networking and relationships. As you mentioned, getting folks in the room. We have this one example. It's called the Talent Compact. So we know that the population's retiring around here. There's also people leaving the area, and we know we need to fill different positions. So traditionally, you look at employers, educators, and business employers, educators, and state officials, local officials, elected
Yeah.
officials, not always in the same room at the same time, or you might get one or two together, but not all three. So we do this convening quarterly where we get folks together. I know you and your colleagues are often there, and we talk about the biggest challenges and how we can navigate those and what are ways that we can foster more internships and different relationships. So I think that's one example. We're fortunate enough that we just had our legislative briefing, and most of the delegation, I think, though there was like one or two that couldn't make it, but they even sent staff. Were there to hear about the stuff that the chamber is working on. And so to have that commitment from the delegation means a lot for us as a chamber. We're a membership organization. We've got close to 700 different businesses. And so it makes sense to get those folks together because we're stronger together. We put together a One North Central plan to help advance the region. This came out during the pandemic, and we've really been trying to...
It's a regional economic development plan,
Yeah, and
right?
so there's things the chamber can do in there, but if we just do them, it's only going to take us so far. So there's other things in this document that towns and cities can adopt, that other businesses can adopt, that as legislators like yourself are looking towards the state budget and looking at other pieces of legislation to advance, you can look at those pieces and say, how does that fit into the puzzle to help advance North Central Massachusetts? And so we've been using that document to really guide the work that we do these last few years.
And just everybody kind of being able to recognize what are the priority industries here?
Yeah.
What are their needs going to be in 5 or 10 years? What are their workforce needs? What are the growth opportunities? But one thing that I appreciated that the One North Central plan identified was, what are those priority sectors in our economy, right? And it's advanced manufacturing, it's healthcare, it's logistics, and travel and tourism,
yes.
right?
You've done your homework.
That's right, and it's no notes, everybody. Now I'm going to blank out. But I think the best conversations that we have in that talent compact are the conversations around pathways, right? And it's you said, it's connecting educators, employers, state officials to make sure we're funding programs and pathways for kids to succeed into our workforce. Do you want to talk about how, the compact's work around that issue specifically?
Sure, and a lot of work's already being done in that sphere, and we're not looking to step on any toes, but it's one of those things where we're just kind of try, as you mentioned, be a convener and see how we can enhance the relationships that are already there. We know that there's, college is a great path for kids, but there's other students where that's not going to be the fit for them, and we want to make sure that there is a career there that they're aware of. And the other great thing is too, we have a manufacturers council, much like the talent compact, and these two groups have gone out to places like there's a flute manufacturer in Shirley.
Which is one of the coolest trips that I've done as a state senator, right? And that was on the Chamber's manufacturing
Exactly.
tour.
And so we're able to bring out educators to see that, there's jobs that your students could have right here. If they're interested in CNC machinery, they could actually be making a music instrument. Like those skills transfer.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it's just having conversations about there's different industries and different manufacturing jobs where it's not when you think of like your grandfather's manufacturing or your parents' manufacturing even. Things are so different nowadays, and there's so many different skills. There's another manufacturer that works on machines that work in plastics, and they were saying they need auto body workers because to do like the painting and the fine things. There's also people that might be auto mechanics that can actually build the machines.
Transferable skills.
Yeah, so those transferable skills. So having those conversations and letting the employers know that there's jobs here in the region, that way the students know you don't have to leave. You can stay in North Central Massachusetts. You can find a great job. We have a jobs board on our website, northcentralmass.com, and that has all local job opportunities within the 27 cities and towns here in North Central Massachusetts, because we know that if you're a parent, if you're a caregiver for someone who's elderly in your family, or you've got a partner who's sick and you need flexibility, you can't be driving the hour and a half, 2 hours into Boston. We want you to know that there's local opportunities right here in the region.
I think one of the special parts of your job, too, is you have a vantage point that not many people have, right? I mean, you get to jump across industry sectors. You deal with employers, educators, whether it's community colleges, vocational schools, comprehensive high schools, elected officials. And from that, I think you have a unique appreciation for the region's assets. I'll take a kind of a point of privilege here. I think you are a person that's bullish on the region.
Thank you.
What makes you optimistic about North Central, and what do you see as the opportunities for growth? And what do you think some of the challenges are that we need to address?
So I think seeing
partnerships.
I think seeing the relationships that are built. You look at our delegation, and I know you're in constant conversation with the state reps that fall within your area, even with the other senators in your area. And I love the fact that North Central Massachusetts has such a cohesive delegation. I was talking to somebody. I think actually she's a guest on an upcoming show, Leanne Scales, and she was saying that when you pick up the phone and call, whether it's a business or whoever, they're going to say, how can I help? And that's one of the benefits of our region that we have, is that people are so willing to step up and help one another to work to advance the region, because we know we're competing against big areas like Boston. And you look at so much focus, I think, at the state level has for decades was everything within the 128 belt. But we know that we need to really band together here, and I think it's kind of like that underdog story. Like we know we got to band together and kind of do that fight.
And I think it's a region where leadership really matters too.
Absolutely.
It takes partnerships to move, you name it, housing, transportation, education forward. And if people aren't working or rowing together in the same direction, we'll all suffer for it. I think one of the cool things that I think that we appreciate in the chamber is we have a tripartisan delegation in the North Central catchment area, right? Republicans, Democrats, Independents. And at the end of the day, we're all coming together to try to do what's best for the community, but also speak with one voice together. You talked a little bit about competitive advantage. What do you think the competitive advantages are for the region, and what are the things that we need to double down on and address?
So I think when you look at the area's location, if you're looking for amenities and you're looking for a place to settle down and live, we've got the mountain right there. We've got outdoor amenities. If you want to get to the beach, it's only an hour away. If you want to get to major cities such as Boston or Springfield, about an hour, hour and a half in either direction. So I think our centrally located area really sets us up for success.
So many different things in striking distance,
you
right?
look at
ski, beach, like
exactly.
You name it.
We always have a phrase that we use on our tourism sector called "drive to, not through" North Central Massachusetts, and I think that sets us up at a competitive advantage, especially when it comes to the tourism front. And when you look at tourism, if someone comes out here to go skiing, they're also going to check out a restaurant. If someone comes out here to go leaf peeping, they're going to come to eat. They're going to spend money at your gas stations. So I think our amenities on the tourism side are really a crucial thing. Our history of manufacturing, I think, also plays well. You look at some of the things that are happening in Devon, some of the things that are happening in West Fitchburg, some of the things that are happening in Leominster, which was the former plastics capital. There's still a lot of manufacturing that's happening right here in the region. You look at
the injection molding and the plastics industry has really been able to evolve into a 21st century industry,
it
right?
has.
In medical devices and
even other industries. I was fortunate enough on the podcast, we go out to different chamber members, so I've gotten to meet a lot of cool businesses. And you look at the folks at BJA Magnetics. They're a manufacturer here in over in Leominster, and they do some incredible work with magnets, where their magnets have been in planes and pieces of cars and different components. And it's neat to know that that's made here in North Central Massachusetts. One of the biggest challenges, I think, it has to do with housing, and that's a statewide issue. I know that's one of the big things that you and your colleagues are talking about right now, in terms of how do we have enough and how do we make it affordable that people aren't priced out of this region, which was traditionally more affordable than the rest of the state.
Yeah, I think housing is so important in terms of allowing our economy to grow, right? And especially that advanced manufacturing sector. What's going on at Devon specifically is really incredible. I was at Commonwealth Fusion a few months ago. 500 engineers show up there every day to do some of the most cutting-edge research and development anywhere in the world. And I heard a comment that one of their executives made is, they are having trouble filling positions because of the housing shortage here in the region, right? So a couple of different things that we're trying to do with regard to gateway cities. One thing I'm very proud of is we got that tax credit passed, the Housing Development Incentive Program. The market rate rents in places like Fitchburg or Leominster don't support the debt required to take on these new construction projects. And the only way to get out of our housing crisis, or to build the 200,000 units we need, is production, right? So I think we need supply side solutions, and I'm hopeful that will be that's going to be a game changer in places like Fitchburg and Leominster.
And I think it's going to really require some creative solutions too. I mean, you look at what New View Communities and the Fitchburg Art Museum and the different partnerships there for the arts community that they're building, that housing, taking an old school building, multiple buildings, and converting those. And we've seen successful mill buildings being converted
truly
in the region
a team
as well.
of teams to make those projects work too.
Absolutely,
right?
And a lot of discussions, and the more that can keep happening, as you mentioned, when a business comes in, they want to make sure, can we find a workforce, and is this going to work? And one of the big things is, if you don't have a place for that workforce to live, that workforce is not going to be there. So we need to make sure that there is housing so we can sustain that workforce.
And I think, if we can figure out how to produce more housing, that's going to truly be a competitive advantage for the region and set the region up for long-term success, right? Because I think the cost of living here is significantly less than it is if you're living in Cambridge or Somerville. It's more accessible to young families, right?
And that's always been one of our biggest advantages, that affordability.
Exactly.
The fact that you can come out here and have a little bit better standard of living that you would in some of the other parts of the state.
And be able to access the same amenities and quality of life, right? And there's some little things that we can do that don't cost money too. One of the things that we're trying to do in the governor filed language in her economic development bill that the legislature is going to take up this session, hopefully, and get done before July 31st, but address the housing cap at Devon. So Devon's was created in 1993. There are they're 12 units short of hitting a statutorily capped housing unit. So we've got this place that is prime for growth. There's thousands of 21st century innovation economy jobs there. And we need the legislature to get its act together and remove a housing cap. So land that's residentially zoned in places like Vicksburg Square, we can build on, right? And I think everybody benefits in the region from having a place where people can come, can live, can right size if they're seniors, can get into maybe a first house if they're starting a family. So a lot of exciting work to be done there too. Another significant barrier here in North Central is transportation. Can you talk about some of the work that the Chamber's done in terms of trying to bring stakeholders together to improve transportation infrastructure or collaboration?
Sure. So I mentioned One North Central Regional Economic Development Plan, but we also put out a workforce study which highlighted some of these barriers that you're mentioning. And
yeah.
I've got to salute Chelsea Patras and the work that she's doing with the Chinan 9, and they're looking at an economic mobility plan right now, and we've been participating in that. They're meeting pretty regularly.
Yeah.
In terms of projects that are happening, I'm fortunate enough to sit on the Montechusett Joint Transportation Committee, so I see projects that are coming up on the TIP, which is the Transportation Improvement Plan, basically the amendment that then goes to approve different projects for the area. So there's a lot of work happening in that sphere, and we try and get involved in the conversation as much as we can, because whether it's transportation for residents, but also logistics and distribution, we mentioned that's a big target industry for the area, especially when you look at the digital commerce and that sort of thing. And even just to support our manufacturers as they produce these products, they need a place to store it and then get that product out wherever it's going.
Yeah.
You need to have roads that are dependable. And then I think there's a big opportunity with that east-west rail that folks are talking about, bringing the rail connecting Springfield all the way to Boston, coming through Greenfield and Gardner. And a lot of the conversation, I know, primarily was about kind of Springfield to Boston, what's that going to look like. But I think there's also opportunity when you look at Gardner to Fitchburg, Leominster to Gardner, Leominster to Fitchburg, Leominster to Devens, wherever. I think there's a lot of different opportunities we can capitalize on if we could increase that rail access and really make it so people can start using that commuter rail for jobs here in North Central Massachusetts. If they're in Gardner, getting to Fitchburg and Leominster, as I mentioned, or back and forth, I think there's some big opportunities there. And
then rail is a big piece of kind of the tourism, arts and culture, economy and community that we're trying to make happen here in North Central.
Absolutely.
The Chamber does a ton of work around tourism. Can you talk about some of those those efforts?
So we are one of the state's 11 RTCs, which is a regional tourism council. So we're the Johnny Appleseed Trail Association, but we operate as Visit North Central Massachusetts. We run the Visitor Center on Route 2 with the largest apple in New England, so you can go take your picture there if you haven't.
That'll be a second tattoo for you, right? Yeah, you get some room on the other arm.
I actually have an apple at the foot of him, so there you go. So
You're
it's already covered.
Leominster, Leominster Inc.
But we do a lot of tourism, so we're the Regional Tourism Council, so we are responsible for really promoting the region, promoting it, whether it's somebody within the drive time commute, so promoting it to folks that are in Boston, promoting it to folks in Connecticut, Rhode Island. We find that we are really a drive time market. So if you look at kind of like a 300-mile radius of North Central Massachusetts, that's where a lot of people are coming. So it's really just trying to highlight the amenities, highlight the assets that we have here, letting people know about the attractions in the area. You can get leaf peeping in New Hampshire and Vermont, but it's better here in North Central Massachusetts, highlighting the fact that you can come here and you can leaf peep, but you can also pick fresh apples. You can also hike up Wachusett Mountain and really see the entire region. You can come and go to the water park at Great Wolf Lodge and get your leaf peeping fix. There are so many different things here.
What's the busiest season?
So I think
it was surprising to me, because I know it came up, but it's...
Summer and fall, I think, are the two busiest. But we're actually working on a promotion with two other RTCs to promote kind of like the shoulder season, so looking at really making it a 4-season destination here. And the summer is really busy because we have a lot of the sports tourism.
That's huge, right? Yeah, and it's something that's easy to forget about, but a huge economic driver.
It is. So if you ever drive along Route 70 out in the Lancaster area and you see those soccer tournaments, that's actually a huge generator, because people come here for games. They don't have games all day long, or maybe they get eliminated for the
They
tournament.
need breakfast. They need lunch. Maybe they need a hotel.
They do.
Right? Yeah.
And also, when their downtime's there, they want to check out the region that they're in. So
Yeah.
they're going to come spend money at our stores, as you mentioned, at our restaurants, but they're also going to check out some of the other tourism stuff. If they got a couple hours off, maybe they're going to go play at a mini golf course. Maybe they're going to go to the water park. Maybe they're going to check out the new bike trail that's here. So there's a lot of different opportunities to capitalize on that as well.
Yeah. And game on too, right?
Game on, absolutely.
Like, I mean, it's thousands of people coming every month.
Yeah, and if folks haven't got our new visitor center guide, we put out a guide twice a year. We do a spring-fall edition, or spring-summer, and then a fall-winter edition. We have it available at the visitor center on Route 2. We print off over 40,000 of those, and they don't just get shipped here locally. So I know you can get them in Fitchburg City Hall, Leominster City Hall, but they also get shipped as far as up in Canada, that people find out about the different things happening in the region. And we have this awesome, it's basically like a community calendar where we list every single event that every city and town sends us. We get as many of those events into the calendar. So as people are coming to the area, they're learning about the different festivals that are happening that weekend. And they might only be aware of one, but then they look and they see, oh, this is also happening. Let's hit up 2 or 3 of these events while we're in the region. And you might have taken someone who was only going to be here for 2 hours, and now you've got them here for an entire day.
Yeah. Which is huge, right? And everybody benefits from. We've got a couple of minutes left. I just, you're so passionate about the region and the job you're able to do across getting people out of their silos. I'm interested. What's the part of the job that you like the most?
So I think the impact that I'm able to make, as I mentioned, I'm a Leominster native. For 2 years of my life, I've lived in Leominster. I've got family that's from Fitchburg. Family lives in other small towns around here. And so for me, coming to the chamber, it was great to see the work, knowing the work that the chamber does. From the times I used to interview Roy and his staff and see when I was at the radio station, I wanted to find an opportunity that was going to help me make an impact on the community. And, one of the projects that we've been able to do is one thing that I can really see the work that I've done is you see the different facade improvements we've helped with the 3 cities over the years. Gardner, Fitchburg, and Leominster, we've helped a number of businesses with facade improvements. So it's cool to see that investment and to see that the chamber...
Which sets the tone for the downtown, right?
Absolutely.
Or business districts,
and
right?
I was fortunate enough to secure funding that we had been able to use for some welcome signs to the areas. And I drive by a lot of those on my commutes, and it's kind of neat to look at that sign and say, I helped bring that to the area. So it's a little bit selfish for me to say there's the work that I've done, but it's really just seeing the impact that we have, whether it's, as you mentioned, improving the downtowns, whether it's helping kids find jobs when they graduate, whether it's helping develop a new workforce, helping bring more tourism dollars to the area. I feel like the work that I get to do on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, is really promote and advance the region. With the podcast, I get to interview people and give their business and give their story a platform and share it out to the world. And I love that opportunity.
So people, if there's a small business owner at home watching the show right now, how do they get in touch with you, and what should people be using the chamber for, and how can people help support the chamber's mission?
Absolutely. Head to northcentralmass.com or come by and see us. We're over on South Street, 860 South Street. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. You can always come by and knock on our door, and we'd love to chat with you, or give us a call. And so you can get the phone number off of our website, again, northcentralmass.com, and really talk to us because we can help you, whether it's help with a business question. If you're looking to start a business, we didn't really talk about...
Technical assistance, right?
I mean, we could spend an hour talking about our whole economic development side where we can help you start your business. We work with our banks to help startups. If someone has a business and they're experiencing a challenge, we can help you navigate that challenge. We have webinars and other activities and events where you can learn about things like QuickBooks, things that are going to help your business succeed. We want your business to succeed because when you succeed, the whole region succeeds. When you're able to expand your business, maybe you're able to create a new job for somebody. Or if your business is having a great year, that's another sports team that you're going to be able to sponsor when the Little League season comes up or when the soccer season comes up because you have more money to do things like that with. So the economic development side, if you have any questions regarding a business or business challenge, please reach out to us. Our networking opportunities, I mentioned the podcast, our chamber members, that's one of the benefits. We'll get you on our podcast and talk about it. There's just so many opportunities with the chamber, and please, if you haven't joined us, call us today. Come visit our website.
Become a member.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Become a member.
Good. Roy would be upset with you if you didn't plug that at the end, right? Travis Condon, everybody. Travis, thanks so much for coming on the show. Really grateful for all you do, bringing people together, and there's no stronger advocate in the region than you. So I appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll talk soon. Maybe you can ask the questions next time.
Well, you had great questions. I appreciate it, and thank you for your time.
All right, we'll see everybody next month. Take care.